Welcome back to the AKA Products Broadcast Studio just outside the Fear Farm RC Raceway here in Phoenix, Arizona, as we wrap up after Saturday night racing action here at the 18th Annual Dirt Nitro Challenge. Our coverage this week brought to you by A-Main Hobbies, ProTech RC, Team Associated, and Reedy in our AKA Products Broadcast Studio. I'm Aaron Waldron here with Richard Lake and a frankly mind-boggling pro truck main here.
That's the only words for it.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Where do you start?
Well, we can start with the fact that Ryan Mayfield is 2 for 2 today.
2 for 2 today. Mayfield just absolutely dominating in the electric buggy pro. First off, just got out and led it and owned it. Really just wanted to just absolutely dominate that race. And then he followed that result up going back into your pro truggy main, which we just watched. Again, you know, if you're watching it on live RC, watching it on a camera really didn't do it justice. If you're watching it live, it was impressive. I mean, he did everything that he needed to do to keep the car out front. No muss. Again, no muss, no fuss. It was a stellar drive out of Mayfield. Yep. So it was really good.
Ryan Mayfield 2 for 2 today, won the Pro Electric Buggy and Pro Truck main events. We'll talk about Pro Truck first. And Mayfield was out front, qualified second, and was going very quickly throughout the main event. So was Ty Tessman.
Yeah, exactly.
Tessman had won this race 5 times in the last 7 years, and he was out front. It was up to Mayfield to try to keep pace with him. And then, unfortunately, then his truck just flew off the track.
Exactly, yeah. And from what I gather, he had some sort of a mechanical. I don't know the full details on it, but yeah, it was, Tessman was just leading out. He was doing his thing. The truck was looking phenomenal. It was performing. He was cutting in the laps. And then all of a sudden, he just landed off that little back triple section to come on that back straightaway. And his truck went full noodle at the Marshall and out to the hay bale, and it was an unfortunate set of circumstances, but like Ryan said in the wrap up, it's it's racing, and anything can happen, and usually does. So
these things just happen. It's,
exactly.
Unfortunately, something that's happened to the Tessmans before.
Yeah.
They've had this. They use a jumper plug instead of a switch to plug the battery into the.
So they do a direct connect.
Right, and there are a lot of racers that do that, and it's typically a little bit more reliable than using a switch, because a switch can break after repeated flat lands and everything.
Yep.
So
moving it back and forth. So if you're going for a direct connect, you're hoping that that's going to be your end all get all to alleviate
right.
and especially in Nitro.
Right, and it's really unfortunate too to say like this is something that the Tessmans should have learned from or anything else. I mean, they've won more races in the last 5 years than anybody else. They're a world champion.
Exactly.
They've won this. They had won Pro Truck here 5 times in 7 years. He's won multiple Roar National Championships. They obviously know what they're doing, and they test this stuff. And the fact that this plug thing has happened more than once, I think, is just an incredible fluke.
It's an incredible fluke. Yeah, it's once in a lifetime that it happens, and for them, it's just bad luck that it happens. And we saw a lot of front runners today, breaking out early on, going back to front runners that broke out. Look at the Techno team.
Right.
Ryan Lutz looking so dominant in qualifying, had a little bit of a rough couple first laps. You look to him to put his head down, and he kisses a hay bale and shears off a screw. So, again, it's racing. Stuff happens, and stuff happens pretty quickly when you're talking about a truggy going 40 miles an hour.
But speaking of the Techno RC team, Joe Bornhorst for the 2nd year in a row.
Yep.
Runner-up finish here in Pro Truck at the Dirt Nitro Challenge. Bornhorst really came onto the scene so quickly. Joining the Techno RC team, I think, for him was a huge opportunity.
Absolutely.
Small team. They work really well together. He and Ryan live within an hour of each other in Ohio.
Absolutely.
And the Techno RC crew from Southern California, even though Ryan and Joe are in Ohio, they travel a lot together. They work together very closely, and I'm super pumped for Joe.
Absolutely.
Very well deserved.
Well, and I think their driving styles, their characteristics of how they drive, really complement one another. I think Joe really likes to do, because he comes from that motocross background, and I'm not sure if Ryan has ever ridden motocross or not, but again, Ryan has always been one of those drivers where when you're watching him, you're just like, man, that guy is just on it.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool to see. Unfortunate that he had the bad luck in the main event. I'm sure he's gonna look over all of his buggies tomorrow and make sure that nothing like that is possibly going to happen. So, again, it was a hard fought battle for everybody. Hats off to the Testmans. I mean, even though they had the mechanical, they still got up into the, I think, 7th spot it was after dropping down almost 2 full laps. So Ty just, again, tried to prove what the truck can do.
Right.
And he put the laps in, and same thing for pretty much everybody else out there. You put your head down, you continue to keep digging, and it's not over until you hear the tone go off. In all honesty, so.
Ryan Cavallari, another one of those drivers that definitely did not give up, had to bump his way into the final.
Into the A, absolutely.
Started 13th and fought his way to a podium finish.
Absolutely.
And he looked relieved and totally happy. I don't know that I've really ever seen Cavallari
smile.
No, I don't know that I've ever seen him that happy just to finish 3rd.
Absolutely. Yeah, and for Ryan, I know like you said, he knew when he was racing with Tebow, he knew he wasn't going to take the win. Like he said in his interview, but he also knew that he was still racing for a spot on the track with Jared. And again, those guys race day in, day out. Even though they're on opposite teams, they know their driving styles, they know how they go. And, it just makes it for a really, really good, exciting race to watch. I mean, if you watch those guys back and forth, I mean, it was nose to tail for 5 laps where they were just going to town on one another. And it was really, really nice to see. Especially on that level of driving, you expect to see the clean driving, but it's one thing to actually see it for that long going on. It's an amazing, amazing feat, especially with those big of a vehicles.
And as you talked about, he was racing with Jared Tebow most of the time. Jared Tebow and Dakota Fenn rounded out the top 5.
Yep.
And we'll jump here into the Pro Electric Buggy main event, a 10-minute affair, so it was a much shorter race, a lot more intense in terms of just racing as fast as possible in a short amount of time, and Ryan Mayfield was second on the grid. Again, Ty Tessman had qualified out front and just ran into some bad luck. Mayfield took the win
early on. And Mayfield again, capitalized on the early mistakes from Tessman. I think Tessman hit a hay bale coming off the drop down, which spun him around. Mayfield was able to get around. So yeah, it again, the track when you're looking at it. It's a very humbling track. It's incredibly deceitful when you're looking at it because there's spots where you got to go really, really fast on, and there's other spots where you just kind of drive around and let the car do its thing. And if you overdrive it, it's going to bite you. So hats off to Joey and his crew. They definitely made the track, for everybody's driving styles to be definitely tested on.
And Mayfield got that win out front. He finished almost 5 seconds clear of Ryan Cavallari. And Cavallari, again, got to be pumped with the 2 podium finishes here.
Absolutely.
Jared Tebow seemed really relieved. He had a really rough time in qualifying both Thursday and Friday, so he was excited to get up on the box there in the 3rd spot. He beat Tessman to the line by less than a half a second.
Less than half a second, yeah. Tessman was definitely hard charging, and then don't count out Ron Falk as well. I mean, Ron Falk had to bump in last night.
Yeah. Well, he bumped into
his last run.
Well, in the electric buggy main, he bumped in from the B.
Yeah, bumped in from the B.
Right. So just a really intense day of racing here, and we've got a whole lot left coming up tomorrow with all our Nitro buggy classes, 40 over, Sportsman, Expert, and of course the Pro Buggy main event going down tomorrow night. It's going to be just as thrilling as we expected today to be. Who knows what'll happen? Is it going to be a runaway? Is it going to be a battle to the end? Is someone's car going to fly off the track? The only way you're going to find out is by tuning in here with us on liverc.com. Again, special thanks to our sponsors, Team Associated and Reedy, but absolutely to A-Main Hobbies and ProTech RC. It's all credit to them that we have been able to bring you this show for free all week long. And you can check out their brand new ProTech RC Euro LS5 engine. It's a Novorossi base developed by Adam Drake and Chad Bradley, a couple of national champions that represent A-Main Performance Hobbies. And they're offering a smoking deal on it this week. It's already priced affordably, but you can get it for $40 off by using the coupon code LS5LiveRC, a special deal that they've worked us out with our viewers here this week. Check that out on amainhobbies.com. Thank you so much for watching us this evening, and we'll see you tomorrow for the final day of the Dirt Nitro Challenge.
Absolutely. Good night.